Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're validating the exhausting reality of household management when you're navigating it with ADHD. We're literally peeling back the curtain on why simple chores feel impossibly hard, and more importantly, revealing some neuroaffirming systems to help you reclaim your space and your peace of mind. Let's get right into it. Okay, here's our roadmap for This Explainer. Think of this as our external executive function for the day. We'll quickly cover the invisible mental load, executive dysfunction, the object permanence myth, the weight of shame, ending the chore war, and finally, neuro-affirming household systems. It's all designed to guide us clearly through the brain mechanics and structural solutions without overwhelming your cognitive load. Section 1. The invisible mental load and why the home feels so heavy. To start off, we really need to talk about why basic household maintenance can feel so incredibly paralyzing.
So if you've ever stood frozen in front of a sink full of dirty dishes, just overwhelmed to the point of tears, you are definitely not alone. And no, you aren't lazy. To an ADHD brain, washing dishes isn't just one task, right? It's literally a dozen micro-tasks. You have to notice the dishes, ignore the urge to just go make a cup of tea instead, find the plug, gather the cups from around the house, measure the soap. You get the idea. When your brain struggles to initiate tasks, sorting through all these competing demands causes major analysis paralysis. The friction of those cognitive initiation deficits makes a simple chore feel like you're climbing Mount Everest.
Now, this paralysis is deeply tied to what we call the mental load or cognitive labor. This means you aren't just doing physical chores, you're holding a massive, invisible inventory of everyone's needs, schedules, and unfinished tasks right there in your head. It is the relentless, non-stop work of noticing the peace lily needs watering, remembering your partner's doctor's appointment, and tracking when the kids need those permission slips signed.
And it's absolutely crucial we look at the intersection of neurodivergence and societal expectations here. As Ray Jacobson so accurately pointed out, ADHD in women is a feminist issue, because society often expects women to be the default managers of the home. I mean, imagine carrying a stack of chairs, a baby's crib, and a sink on your back. That's just the baseline expectation. Add the invisible weight of ADHD to that stack, it's a recipe for profound, inevitable burnout.
Moving on to Section 2, Executive Dysfunction Explained, or as I like to call it, when the manager takes a break. Let's look at what's actually physically happening in your brain.
The real key here is understanding the actual neurological realities behind all this exhaustion, instead of just blaming it on some sort of moral failing. Think of your brain's executive functions as a manager who is just constantly out on a coffee break. When that manager steps out, you struggle with working memory, so instructions and details just slip right away. You struggle with inhibition, meaning you can't filter out distractions or those impulsive urges. And you struggle with cognitive flexibility, making it incredibly hard to seamlessly switch from doing one task to another. Notice how these symptoms really cluster together. Things like disorganization and executive dysfunction create what clinical experts actually call mental gridlock. The cognitive fatigue becomes a shared family experience. The parent's brain is just saturated with way too many open loops, those unfinished tasks running in the background, and that ends up draining energy from literally everyone in the household.
All right, Section 3, the object permanence myth. Out of sight, out of mind. This brings us to exactly why organizing is so uniquely tough for the ADHD brain.
Let's clear something up right now. If you spend any time on TikTok, you've probably heard that ADHD causes a lack of object permanence. But clinically speaking, object permanence is a developmental milestone where an 8-month-old baby learns that things still exist even when hidden. You, as a fully grown adult, know perfectly well that your clothes exist. But the ADHD reality is that severe working memory deficits create a genuine out-of-sight, out-of-mind phenomenon. That's exactly why you might buy fresh carrots, pop them in the crisper drawer under a head of lettuce, and absolutely forget they exist until they turn into sad, dehydrated little husks. Unseen items literally just drop out of your active processing.
Which leads us to Section 4, the weight of shame, internal threats and appraisals. What actually happens when these symptoms go unmanaged for years?
Well, looking at this cognitive model, we can clearly see how repeated organizational failures trigger some pretty persistent shame. When you constantly lose things or fail to finish chores, you might start developing deeply embedded negative beliefs like, I am a failure at life. And that thought acts as a serious internal threat. It keeps your nervous system highly aroused and totally distressed, which ironically makes it even harder to function.
Okay, Section 5, Ending the Chore War,
by shifting from willpower to systems, because it is absolutely time to stop relying on just trying harder and start doing things differently.
So, to divide labor fairly and stop that building resentment, couples can use the fair play method. The basic idea is that every task has 3 distinct steps: conception, planning, and execution. Usually, one person holds the mental load of conceiving and planning while the other person just executes. And honestly, that just isn't fair. Instead, one partner needs to own a task card entirely. For example, if you own the groceries card, you check the fridge, you plan the meals, you make the list, and you actually do the shopping. The cognitive load is genuinely shared from start to finish, which completely eliminates the need for nagging.
Finally, Section 6, Neuro-Affirming Household Systems. Basically, let the environment be the boss. How do we make our physical space do the heavy lifting for us?
Okay, this right here is an absolute game changer. It's a concept called point of performance storage. Because the ADHD brain really struggles with initiation, you have to reduce the friction required to start a chore. This simply means storing your tools exactly where the task actually happens. So don't keep the bathroom cleaner hidden away under the kitchen sink. Keep it directly inside the shower so you can just clean while you wash. Keep a roll of spare trash bags at the bottom of every single trash bin in the house. Stop relying on your memory and let your environment prompt you. By storing tools at the point of performance, you remove the friction that causes procrastination, which ultimately stops the chore war before it even begins.
Now let's see how this builds into delegating chores effectively. Standard relationship advice always says split things 50-50, but in a neurodivergent household, you really must play to your strengths. The ADHD brain thrives on novelty and urgency, so assign them the doom box clearing, the creative cooking, or those rapid, frantic deep cleans. On the flip side, an autistic brain thrives on routine and sameness. They might be way better suited for daily dishwasher loading, spreadsheet budgeting, or scheduled laundry. Seriously, work with your brain, not against it.
Here are a few rapid-fire strategies to completely externalize your executive functions. If you want to stop being the boss of the house, let the wall be the boss. Utilize Kanban boards to visually track what's to do, what you're doing, and what's done. Use visual timers to combat that time blindness and make a 15-minute cleaning sprint feel incredibly tangible. And definitely leverage body doubling. Having a partner sit in the room just reading a book while you fold laundry acts as a social anchor. It turns an isolated, paralyzing chore into a shared, highly focused action window.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want you to remember that household management is really just juggling a bunch of balls. Some tasks are glass. If you don't pay the water bill, it shatters, right? But you know what? Many tasks are just rubber. If you drop the laundry today, it will bounce. Nobody is going to be harmed. So to help you prioritize your peace of mind and finally let go of that perfectionism, I'll leave you with this question. Which glass ball are you going to protect today, and which rubber ball are you finally going to let bounce? Thanks for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.